통신을 내 방식대로 KBD
What is up, everybody? We're finally here. This is the round of 4 of the SSL, formerly known as the ASL. And what a crazy match we've got tonight. It's SoulKey versus SnOw.
This is really exciting because SnOw has become very strong against Zerg. You know, he's definitely one of the best Protoss in the world for quite some time now, and we're really looking for him to pick up a victory here in a StarLeague. But then, of course, we have SoulKey, who is hitting domination levels that we haven't really seen since Flash. If he wins here tonight, I think he goes in as a pretty heavy favorite to those finals and might end up winning 3 StarLeagues in a row, which only Flash has been somewhere around that level. Like, obviously, Queen won 2 in a row. I don't believe Flash ever actually won 3 in a row. And I think there has to start to be a debate if he wins. Can we call a player in this era a new Bonjour?
It's going to be an interesting thing to have to delve into if it does in fact occur. The previous graphic we had on screen mentioned that this was going to be at the Sangam Coliseum. That was the Jamshil Coliseum, right?
The map, I think they're at the Jamshil studio right now, but I believe the map was of Sangam, yeah. I wasn't really paying attention because I've seen it 1,000 times, but like... but yeah, I believe that they're having it at the big studio.
For the finals, guys. If there's any questions on getting there, feel free to DM me on Twitter. But yeah, buy your tickets in advance. The tickets do sell out. You can buy them in English. They have it set up there. Lots of foreigners get it. But you don't want to miss it. If you can go to it, it's going to be a crazy match. Today we've got SnOw versus SoulKey. SnOw basically looking like the strongest Protoss that there is, and SoulKey looking like the strongest Zerg and the strongest player that there is.
Yeah, this is like new history is being written. The scene is really active right now. Everyone's in very good shape. SoulKey with the level of domination is insane. He just looks so much better than everybody else. And then at the same time, Flash just announced he's back. He's going to be playing next season, apparently. Like, I can't even believe it. This is the best time ever for StarCraft since the old days.
Yeah. This is just 2 days old as of this recording. If you're watching this right when it got on YouTube, it'll be 3 days old. Flash is back. He's streaming. I was watching his stream yesterday and the day before. He's looking good. He definitely needs to catch up a little bit here. He did lose, I think, more games than I think a lot of us were expecting to see right as he came back. But obviously, the competition is scary. This may be the last SSL that we ever have without Flash again.
Yeah, it might be. Might be. Now look at this. I think that... Go ahead. Sorry. I think this is really interesting. Most of the players think that SnOw is going to end up winning this. Okay? And you know what I think is very funny on top of this? Most of the Protoss players think SoulKey's going to win. Right? So Bisu, Stork, and Mini all think that SoulKey's going to end up winning, and then most of the Terran players seem to think that SnOw's going to win. I wonder, Tasteless, because look at this. Everyone online thinks SoulKey's going to win. This is so funny to me. Because Terran players are afraid of SnOw, and then the Protoss players probably actually help SoulKey practice. So they're it's just like, this is, these are some clown polls I'm looking at right here.
You know, that being said, I think if anybody could beat SoulKey, it would be SnOw. I think SnOw's look really good in PvZ. The problem is that SoulKey looks scarier than we've ever seen from him, in a way where it's really kind of a mystery how exactly he's supposed to be defeated here. His playstyle is so modern, so crafty, so smart. Even when we're watching with full vision, it's hard to know what he's going to do.
Winners rise and losers fall. Reflexes sharp, minds enthrall. Gamers play, this never ends. SSL, where legends play. SSL, we fight tonight. Battles in the storyline. From the shadows to the dream, we are the SOOP StarCraft League. We are the
This is 2024 SOOP StarLeague Autumn as the first semi-finals match awaits. SnOw and SoulKey, SoulKey and SnOw are meeting once again this season. Let's meet the players and have a chat. Can you do it? I can do it, yes. Right, your colleagues, your cheerleader squad showed up in numbers today. The boss of your academy team too. Today will be one for the books. SnOw is the only man who can stop SoulKey's three-peat, is why many people are here today. However, what you said, I'm in trouble. This is serious. What is this trouble? What's so serious? There's a lot of people cheering for me, so this is making me nervous. That's why I said this is serious. But there is no trouble in regards to my game itself. The popular opinion of the lay people in the community, well, they are your fans. They are saying you can't advance. But the players are of a different opinion. Many players have taken your side. What do you think made them go with this choice? The guys who gave their predictions are all people I've practiced with, I think. I lost everything and yet they said I would be winning here. I too found it remarkable. I don't know how things will go. Did you really lose a lot in practice? I did. I lost a lot. This season I've been losing a lot. But I think that's good. That's positive. Because whenever I would win a lot in practice, I would then get knocked out from the tournament straight away. But as I lose more, I keep advancing. So I have a good feeling about today too. But SoulKey gave you a good thrashing last season, you know that? Right, yeah. You punched twice and then got punched back 4 times. Right, I got hit. Can you beat him today? I got a good beating last time, so here I practiced my heart out. This time, I'll try and give him a good beating. Understood. SoulKey, what are you laughing about, so? The player you wanted as your opponent the most. The player you keep talking about. The player you met last season and are playing him again here in the round of 4. It's SnOw. Right, but he is the best player right now. It's not like I really wanted to play him as much, but if I win today, I'm the champion, right? Today will be important. Oh, hang on a minute. Next week, there is still Rain, there is still Sharp, the Protoss Emperor, and the Spider-Mine Devil. Do you think this is the real final? I don't think I'm the only one seeing it this way. I think SnOw is on the same page. I consider today to be the real grand final, so I prepared a lot. So you're meeting again, just like last season. Droves of fans are cheering you on to get a three-peat, saying this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance. If you miss it, it might not happen again. What do you have to say to that? If I really can't do it today, there is a risk I might not be able to do it ever. So I prepared a lot. Things felt good as I was preparing. I want to play the match straight away. And the thing you've not been able to do yet, SnOw, is to get a championship. Right. Do you also think, as things are, a championship will follow if you win today? I think the guys on the opposite side play really well. But with how good SoulKey is, it kind of feels like it. It might be that today's opponent will be tougher than the one in the grand final. So out of those, this is a Zerg opponent, and SoulKey at that, currently holding 2 championships in a row. And on top of that, this is an extended series. Please tell the fans what they can expect you to show today in this match. The more I think about things, the more complicated everything gets. The more thoughts leads to things not working out. So today, I'll play with a relaxed mind. Good. And SoulKey, If you manage to turn this corner, you'll stand in front of a chance to set a record with 3 championships in a row. Your resolutions?
준비 많이 했으니까 오늘
I prepared a lot. I'll show good games as I advance through.
하도록 하겠습니다. 네.
Got it. We've heard from our 2 players. Will this be a repeat of last season? Or will SnOw claim victory and move on to the grand final stage? Please put your hands together and make some noise. It's time to kick off these semi-finals.
AS 시즌 17 결승으로 가는 4강 두 번째 대결.
투스타 게이트가
다시 한번 돌리고
엄청 잘 밀려서 막았습니다.
두 세트 연속으로 장윤철 선수 승리 따냈습니다.
이거 조글링 잡아줄 수 있는
제재 길고기 장기전 끝에 한 포인트 쫓아가네요. 제재
그 어려웠던 출발 자체도 의도된 게 아닐까 싶을 정도로 이후에 잡아내는 경기는 정말 완벽하게 지금은 잡아냈습니다.
장윤철과 김민철 선수의 4강 대진이 확정. 김민철 선수는 거의 풀세트 같습니다.
아니 역수입을 만들었습니다.
역습을 성공하면서 4강 진출!
이쪽 수비 라인이 절벽이에요.
후반으로 갈수록 단단하고 노련한 모습을 보여주면서 승리했습니다.
강력한 우승 후보 이 두 명의 선수가 8강에서 대결을 펼치게 됩니다.
결승전급의 대진이 아닌가.
와!
오우 드랍심에 대한 수비가
울트라를 통해서 계속 흔들고 있어요.
한 수 위에 피지컬을 보여줬어요.
자 들어가는 상황 뒤에
그리고 뒤쪽에서 저울링들이 덮쳐줘요.
저울링까지 들어가면서 이제 와 이거 장관이네요.
오히려 장악입니다.
어떤 상황에서도 흔들리지 않고 우리는 김민철의 시대에 살고 있는 게 맞습니다.
장윤철 선수님 시그니처가 나왔습니다.
이건 완전 장윤철 게임입니다.
리버 엔딩이 나오고 있습니다.
하나씩 내리면서
리버 셔틀 아케이드.
결국
세기 바버리는 취재. 리버로 시작하는 리버로 끝내면서 장윤철 4강에 올라갑니다.
토스전이라는 게 컨디션이 안 좋아도 이길 수 있거든요.
All right, we're basically ready to get this going, man. PVZ best of 7. Again, this is a change from the previous seasons of ASL, now SSL, is that we have best of 7s actually starting in the round of 8 all the way up to now. I think we couldn't ask for a more exciting 2 players to have into PVZ. This should be a really informative one as far as how both races can operate. And I also think when it comes to SoulKey, we get to see how he gets to view the entire PVZ meta and how to play around it. That's really been his strongest, his biggest strength, is that he seems to know how people think and then just how to sidestep it and get ahead.
Yeah, he's been unbelievably strong. Like SoulKey is the strongest player in the world for sure, for a reason. And like you said, this is such a good Protoss for Zerg. I honestly think that Rain versus SoulKey would be sick too, but SnOw versus SoulKey, like a lot of my absolute favorite Protoss for Zerg games are these 2 playing. I remember one a long time ago in ASL on the map Whiteout, that one with all the trees, that SnOw map. What a crazy game that was. But more recently when they played, that game on Blitz Y where SnOw wasn't mining from the gas in the bottom left for like the whole game, and it came down to like the last mineral. What absolute awesome games.
Love this sign. Appreciate the signs in the audience, by the way, guys. Very cool. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be so fun. You can see it's a packed crowd here. Round of 4, usually pretty hard to even get into.
They actually see us on cameras. They don't see anything right now.
Oh,
but,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's okay, Tastosis. There's nothing. They're not showing the crowd, guys, but thank you for showing up. Those of you who have.
At least we saw your sides here.
Yeah.
My bad, Artos.
We
Sorry,
did see.
He's controlling what's getting on camera here.
You're right. Now, it's just Okay, now we see some of the crowd. See, as soon as I switch to the crowd, it goes back to the Korean commentators.
It was crowd
every
shots
time
for like a whole minute, Artosis.
Dude, normally it's like 10 seconds. And so I switch it, and then they switch right back, and it's the Korean commentators. I'm like, I'll just leave it on. And now they're like, no, we'll show it for like 5 minutes this time. It'll be sick. Oh, man.
This has so far been a great cast for the blind. I will say that. If you
Not
really
even
can't
that.
see what's happening, at least you get to know that. Not even that. Anyways, you know, going into this match, you know, SoulKey, if he gets to the finals again, it's going to be crazy. In some ways, I think that SnOw is a tougher opponent than Sharp and Rain.
Yeah.
So, you know, let's say that SoulKey advances. I think it's going to, a lot of how we cast the finals will depend on how this looks here now. If SnOw wins, we shouldn't be too shocked. It would be an upset. Obviously, SoulKey has won the last 2 StarLeagues that we had. So, but look, if anybody was going to take him out, it would be SnOw. I think in the modern era, SnOw really looks to be one of the scariest players. One thing that SnOw really can't take advantage of, like he can in PvP or PvT, is Reavers. Reavers do have very important roles in PvZ, but they don't get introduced as easily or as organically in PvZ early on like they do in PvT or PvP. But that being said, I think SnOw has shown some great pushes. He's got great cheeses. His Forge Expand or Nexus First or Gateway Expand are all world-class. So it'll be fun. It'll be cool to see. Again, though, you know, SoulKey seems to be very tricky in some of these early game PvZs. He does seem to be able to win kind of outright based off a couple, you know, basic circumstances early on, you know, kind of punishing how frail Protoss is until they really get all their ducks in a row.
Looking at the win rates, obviously SoulKey has a much better win rate in this matchup, but this is actually because SnOw had a really hilarious record. He had something like 15 years without a professional PvZ win. It literally is, I don't remember exactly what season it was or what score it was, but he was something like 0-10 before he started winning against Zerg. So,
yeah.
So, he just recently, in the last few years, started being good against Zerg. He was really, really poor against Zerg before, so I would definitely take those stats with a grain of salt. Don't forget that this tournament's been going on now for, what, 7 years or so? So, like, some of these stats that we see, it's like, okay, well, yeah, this is kind of a cool stat, but a lot of these players have grown significantly since their records were bad, you know?
Yeah, it's a good point. Really, SnOw made his name being, you know, the player that could beat any Terran, including Flash, in some of the funnest games I think I casted in StarCraft 1 since Remastered came out. But yeah, PvZ, he was definitely a late bloomer in there. I think that a lot of the skill sets that are required in PvZ don't really translate from PvP or good PvT either.
Yeah. That is actually always like kind of an issue, and we've seen this like pattern over and over with Protoss players. It's like either you are really good against Zerg or you're really good against Terran and Protoss. Like that's actually been like this kind of funny pattern because it does play so differently. So like generally you get people that specialize in one, and for a long time that was SnOw, right? Like he was kind of like a Terran sniper for a long time with very good PvP. But nowadays, like he really does have one of the best Protoss first Zergs out there.
And one of the ways to understand that concept is that in PvT, the Protoss behaves like the Zerg would. The Protoss is taking the whole map. They don't necessarily have to attack it at all. They can kind of play defense and counterattack. And then PvZ is the opposite. They play more like a Terran in a Terran versus Zerg, where the Protoss has to try to push, has to try to do more control play. And so you really have to have, you know, out of all the races, you kind of get the perfect balance of different matchups that you have to learn. And we tend to see players stronger in one or the other, although eventually you get, you know, the top 3 or 4 Protosses and they can hang in any matchup. But going up against SoulKey, you know, he's been extremely good specifically versus Terrans and kind of making the game confusing, making tech options available in a lot of different ways, really always being one step ahead. And I want to see if he can do that here versus SoulKey, because, versus SnOw, because if he can, this could be one where SnOw just fizzles out a couple games and already SoulKey's going to be in the finals.
I hope that that's not going to be how this goes down. You know, best of 7, we're definitely going to see what these guys have lined up for us. One thing I found interesting, by the way, was the map order. SnOw opted to open up on Minstrel, which is a 2-player map. So might have some very specific plans there. And SoulKey chose Monty Hall as map number 2. I've actually seen a lot, this is like very random, but I've seen a lot of SoulKey Zerg vs Protoss games on Monty Hall. He's very,
really?
yeah, just randomly I've seen, like he has played Monty Hall so many times, Zerg vs Protoss in like the KCM Race Survivor series and stuff like that. So I know a good amount about what he wants to do on that map, most likely, and he looks completely unbeatable on Monty Hall, so I'm not too surprised to see him want to take such a crazy map as his first pick.
Yeah, kind of makes sense. That could be a bit of a free win if SnOw doesn't have anything planned out on it. And I guess the question is going to be, how much did he invest in that one map versus trying to figure out the rest of the maps? One of the issues with island maps like that is a lot of times, you know, assuming that we had years and years to explore a single island map, you'd have to learn a very different approach and play style. And so sometimes players have either one very specific strategy, kind of like we saw with Sharp, or a cheese, or something that they seem is good enough, and usually not like something super practiced. But we'll get to that in a second. We're going to start this out on Minstrel here, 1v1 map. We could have proxy gates here, although that's not been that popular in the last couple of years. If there was a map we would have it on, this would probably be the one. A map that is split up into 5 different lanes, all horizontal. We'll talk about more of that as we get into the actual game itself, guys. The best of 7 between SnOw and SoulKey starts now. The winner goes to the finals of the SSL. Okay, SoulKey in the bottom right and SnOw in the top left here. And it doesn't look like we're going to have any proxy gates or anything. So, Tastosis, we got to briefly just talk about the Patreon and make a quick announcement here as well.
Yes, yes, indeed. So, not right this second, but very soon. Patreon's actually changing the way that they do things, where it will become like annual only instead of monthly. So, I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. By the time the finals comes out, Patreon is switching the accounts over to that. So we do hope that you still sign up. And thank you, everyone, for your support so far.
Yeah, and also if you're an iPhone, if you've signed up through Apple, what is the deal that we're doing with that?
Well, that's why they're making it annual, because it has something to do with like Apple's monopoly on the App Store.
I think it said Apple takes like 30%,
something like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is true for everything. And so over time, I think they're going to try to phase that out. And so they recommend people sign up through PC. So just a heads up. As always, we hope you consider joining us on Patreon. But very soon here, we're going to be switching over to annually as well.
That's right. So, yeah, thank you, everyone, for your support on that Patreon. It's patreon.com/ASL English. Now, this is already kind of interesting, right? Like, SnOw took a funny path around to dodge the Overlord, and SoulKey goes right out to that kind of, like, close spy third that can be harassed from the back. But, I mean, you don't get a Dragoon out very quickly in Protoss vs. Zerg, so I think out of all the matchups, this is probably the safest for that base in the early game.
I think you're right. There is one idle drone here. It's kind of scary. The Forge was forced down because SnOw is playing a blind game. He knows with his probe here he can at least deny a hatchery being made at the natural, but he doesn't know if there's a hatchery somewhere else on the map. He also doesn't know if a pool's already been thrown down here as well. So I think that SnOw had a cool idea to start this out with.
Yeah.
But the way that SoulKey's handled it, he's basically pushed SoulKey into pushed SnOw into the wrong trajectory.
He's making a cannon, and there's not even a pool started, right? Is this double hatch before pool?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
This is 3 hatch before pool.
SoulKey just can't be stopped.
Back at home.
Like this is so crazy how far ahead this build makes him, right? It's like cannon before the Nexus against double hatch before pool.
Well, keep in mind, we've seen SoulKey do some weird stuff. Like he'll stay back and like he'll do things like 7 pool or 9 pool and like rush in, and you know, with the amount of corner cutting that's happened here from Protoss, what is he doing with that pylon?
Dude.
Well, let me finish this thought. The amount of corner cutting that's happened with Protoss, I think a lot of Protosses are a little bit afraid that SoulKey will just call the bluff and go for the attack. This is the opposite. Right now, he went 3 hatcheries. His pool is almost done, so the cannon was effectively a huge waste of time. He's pumped out a ton of drones. At this point in time, SnOw realizes what's happened because there's not even 2 Zerglings out here to attack this, and the drone is still blocking the ramp, creating ambiguity. But what it seems like SnOw is going to try to do as a curveball here, in what is a pretty good-looking opening for SoulKey, all things considered, is hide a gateway and maybe even a 3rd gateway, and maybe try to hit with a surprising number of Zealots.
It seems like a really good
4
plan.
hatches.
Yeah. The fact that SoulKey is just saying, no, I just will never mine with this drone, and you will never scout me, and you have no idea what's going on. It seems like SoulKey has definitely outthought SnOw for this first game. But the fact that SnOw has this proxy gate, I feel like that throws enough of a curveball into this that anything could happen here still. If he shows up with 1 or 2 Zealots that you don't expect, that can get a lot of damage done suddenly.
I feel like I'm not that hopeful for SnOw here. Remember that SnOw still doesn't even know if a layer has started.
Yeah.
Like,
very true.
It's still, I mean, obviously he knows that the 3rd hatch was fast and everything. And that the pool was late, but you still don't know what kind of tech this is. And I don't know if a 2nd gateway hidden is going to do that much. And when you get 2 gateways before you get the cybernetics core, if you don't do a lot of damage with it, it's hard to actually recover later on. Most builds are engineered where the Protoss will have either enough cannons or enough Zealots, but meanwhile they've teched up to everything else that they want. In this case, the tech is going to be slowed down. You can take advantage of the fact that the Overlord on the outside of your base is there to spot and see what's coming. So SnOw's going to have what looks like 3 Zealots. It's actually going to be 5. I just don't know if this is going to be enough. I think a few more Lings popping up could be a big enough issue. And once he sees the extra Zealot, he's going to know the trick that SnOw's done. And so I think all he has to do is try to surround him.
If he just blocks this initial rush, he should be in great shape. He's already up to 5 hatches, and he has his Hydralisk Den. So, like, all he needs to do is block 5 Zealots right now. Obviously, some more are rallying down, so it's easier said than done. But you can see SoulKey right now hasn't lost drones as of yet, but the Zealots are dominating his Zerglings at least.
So he wants to run behind the minerals if he can. He's going to fight a couple of these Lings up here. You know, I got to say, SnOw's doing a pretty decent job, Artosis. The Hydras are going to be hatching. A lot of times with these rushes, you get behind the minerals and kind of use that to be safe. But if Hydralisks can hatch over time, you can just kill that off. We don't see reinforcements with the Zealots coming here, which makes me worried long-term here for SnOw. You're basically fine as Zerg, trading out Zerglings to kill the Zealots as long as you don't lose too many drones.
Now, he does have a couple more coming as these get cleaned up. I'm not sure if there's really going to be any more damage because we have the Hydras out. Hydra speed, in fact, is done as well. These two going to walk into the front door. There are a lot of units there for SoulKey, though. And, like, it looked kind of promising in the beginning, right? He killed a lot of Zealots and everything, but SoulKey's on 5 hatches, so I don't... It's like he can drone up very quickly here. You could make a ton of units very quickly here. And what does SnOw do? Like, he has to make some photon cannons. He has to be really careful because if SoulKey decides to turn on the pressure, like, SnOw's going to be stuck in his base for a really long time.
Yeah, this is a problem. You know, the 2-gate rush didn't really do that much. The tech has been delayed. I think the Templar Archives might still be making. So, you know, remember that most builds are set up so that you would have your Templars out as fast as possible. With this, I mean, the Hydras could still get up here and do a decent amount of damage. It doesn't seem like SoulKey's too committed to this. I mean, he's just got some of the Hydras out on that side of the map that he has there. Everything else is protecting Corsairs. Protecting against Corsairs is what I mean to say. But, I mean, when is the next move going to be for SnOw? This just looks so uncomfortable.
It really does. The amount of Hydras that are coming across, like he's starting to bust down that wall. There are 4 cannons here waiting, and SoulKey's just going to jump upon them. Like SnOw, I'm surprised he didn't move those Zealots forward a little bit more quickly, but it looks like all the cannons are going to be picked off. This game might be over, Tastosis.
I think this could be it, man. There's a lot of Hydras. I don't see any Templars even waiting here. You know, usually right around this moment, 1 or 2 storms would come down and you'd barely be able to survive. The counterattack isn't doing anything either.
I tell you, this is crazy what SoulKey has done here in Game 1. Like SnOw's map pick and SoulKey, yeah, GG. SoulKey absolutely dismantles him by hold positioning a drone on the ramp and playing a super greedy build. Very well done for SoulKey. Doesn't bode well for SnOw, I think.
You know, it's funny because SnOw initially started what he wanted. He got the deny on the natural expansion hatchery. We'll never know what the full plans were of that game, but the way that SoulKey handled it, it was like he was dealt a tricky poker hand and played the poker hand as perfectly as he possibly could have.
Yeah.
And SnOw kind of looked at it and went, oh, I don't know about this. Threw a forge down a cannon, late Nexus. Meanwhile, it's triple hatch. Triple hatch coming down. And I think SnOw's response, I mean, I get it. I don't even know if it's that good against a player, you know, less than SoulKey. It's just 1 extra gateway, you know?
Maybe if he had gone hatch pool or something, if SnOw had more information, this could have been a very cool build. It's just he had to play safe because SnOwKey denied so much of his scouting intel, and you know that's a big thing. Is you deny, especially in a matchup like this, where a sudden kill can come in very quickly. You know, Protoss has to play very defensively there. And SoulKey, you know, hits this bust really quickly. It was only 4 cannons. SnOw had, I believe, 2 more cannons warping in that he canceled, so he read this wrong a little bit. Yeah, you can see there, like, just very, very well done from SoulKey. I love that Zerg.
the Giga Chad Zergling.
Yeah. That's amazing, actually.
You know, that wasn't like the most interesting StarCraft game, but if you're fascinated with builds and you just watch the first couple minutes, you can really appreciate what SoulKey did there. Guys, short break coming up next. Game 2 in this best of 7. We'll be right back.
네, 안녕하세요. 김민철입니다. 전전 시즌이었나요? 유영진이랑 이제 아포칼립스에서 그 스탑럴커 성공했을 때가 있잖아요. 제가 굉장히 불리한 상황이었거든요. 노릴 수 있는 북북에 스탑럴커 하나뿐이었는데 저도 근데 그렇게 통할 줄은 몰랐어요. 근데 그렇게 통해서 게임을 역전할 수가 있었죠. 그게 진짜 인생 경기지 않을까. 이 게임은 그냥 제가 이제 뭐 안 봐도 생생히 기억이 나고요. 초반 테란의 칼데럭 러시에 아마 제가 드론이 엄청 잡히고 시작했던 게임으로 기억하는데
가져줄 만한 게 지금 당장에는 그냥 뻔하거든요. 한번
메카닉.
빠르게 탱크 제거해야 되거든요. 자, 이적 탱크를 못 잡고 울트라만 죽으면 손실이 꽤 클 겁니다.
네, 저거는 그걸 활용해서 여기가 목숨줄이거든요. 테란 입장에서 목숨줄만 이렇게 내주면 좋습니다.
못 먹게만 해서 지금 같이 가난해지자.
네.
시도 활성화된 지 오래됐단 말이에요.
드랍 들어.
아, 드랍으로 양쪽
야, 이걸
엄청 초절하게 지금은
아니,
이걸 마인
네, 푸드코팅가 퍼버리나요?
이 게임이 이제 대표적인 김민철한테는 레이트 메카닉을 하면 안 된다 라는 그런 게임이 이제 되죠. 정윤종이랑 8강 3세트 이 게임도 이제 기억이 나는 것 같아요. 제가 뮤탈로 템을 자르고 히드라로 이제 밀었던 걸로 기억하는데 그렇게까지 명장면은 아닌 것 같아요. 늘 하던 거라서. 그리고 이날 제가 아마 졌어요. 그래서 좋은 기억이 아니에요. 저는 왼쪽 선택하겠습니다. 아, 이건 이제 제가 가디언 히드라 럴커 뒷발로로 이제 그냥 한 번에 쭉 밀었던 경기였는데 사실 이때 이후로 이거를 해본 적이 없긴 해요. 생각해보니까 별로 안 좋더라고요. 이날 그냥 한번 일회성으로 해봤는데 이때는 좋았던 빌드 같아요. 자, 아 이거죠. 진짜가 나왔네요. 이걸 좀 보겠습니다. 이거 보면서 소름이 돋는 게 말이 안 되거든요. 이렇게까지 긁힌 적도 없고 긁어본 적도 없고 이 게임 이기고 제가 결국에 이 시즌에 우승을 했잖아요. 이 게임이 저를 우승으로 만들어준 게 아닌가 싶기는 해요. 저 여기 선택하겠습니다.
짓는 거 보시면은
아, 뮤링으로 이걸 제가 마린 매직을 다 이제 잡고 아 그게 기억나요. 이날 제가 뮤탈 저글링으로 마린 매직 싸먹는 건 내가 제일 잘한다라는 인터뷰를 제가 했던 것 같아요. 제 입으로 이런 말 하기 좀 그런데 제가 뮤링으로 이제 마린 매직 그 먹는 그거는 솔직히 전문가입니다. 그게 기억이 나는데 시그니처 같은 플레이를 보여드린 것 같아요. 이거는.
불가한 상황이 되는 건데
이것도 이제 기억이 나는데 이제 두발 저글링 이제 올인을 하면서 이겼었던 것 같아요. 사실 이 게임은 제가 막 엄청 잘했다라는 생각은 막 안 들었었거든요. 그날 그래가지고 이 게임 패스하겠습니다. 잘못 눌렀어요. 패자전에서 1장0이랑 게임한 거.
여기서 하나가 좀 때리고 있는
여기서 이제 맞아 드론이 이제 다 거의 다 살았던 걸로 기억해요. 제가 그래서 게임을 이겼던 것 같은데 이거는 근데 진짜 말도 안 되는 플레이를 한 것 같기는 해요. 이게 다 살린 게 이게 말이 안 되거든요. 이러면서 이겼거든요. 근데 이것도 명장면 중에 하나라고 볼 수 있을 것 같기는 해요.
자, 레어 삑삑
이 게임은 이제 자세히 기억이 안 나는데 이 리버를 보니까 전판에 굉장히 그 지긋지긋했던 리버가 있었거든요.
드립 사이즈도 나옵니다.
와, 여기 포리버.
장윤철의 긴
리버.
드립.
야, 리버.
와,
리버 이렇게 나오죠. 포리버.
포리버.
이 게임은 사실 그냥 제가 아니더라도 누구나 다 할 수 있을 만한 플레이라고 생각을 하는데 전에 거는 그래도 이제 제가 좀 잘했던 것 같아서 전에 거를 선택하겠습니다. 제가 잘못 누른 게 나와가지고 탈락시키도록 하겠습니다. 그냥 1등이라고 생각했던 거를 아까 말씀을 이미 드렸어가지고 어떤 경기가 와도 이 경기를 이길 수가 없지 않을까 이런 생각에 선택하겠습니다. 사실 아마 이게 두 개 다 보는 사람들이 다 놀랄 만한 그런 거였거든요. 근데 스탑러커가 좀 더 대박이지 않았나. 임팩트가 좀 셌어요. 그렇기 때문에 이게 우승입니다. 가끔 저도 이제 제 경기를 보거든요. 그럴 때마다 저도 모르게 소름이 돋아요. 제 플레이인데도 이런 거 보면서 이제 난 참 잘했다 뭐 이런 생각도 들고 뿌듯합니다. 연철이 지금 뭐 잘하고는 선수긴 하지만 저번 시즌도 이겼는데 이번 시즌도 좀 이길 거라는 생각이 들거든요. 저번 시즌 맵은 토스가 더 좋았는데 그 맵으로 못 이겼으면 이번 시즌 못 이기지 라는 생각이 있습니다.
We are back, everybody. It's time to go into game 2 here. SoulKey winning the way that SoulKey has won so many games in the last 2 seasons and this one as well. Solid fundamentals, taking a situation that, honestly, whether it's tournament or ladder, is pretty unique, right? SnOw using an unusual scouting pattern to avoid the Overlord to use the drone block. And when SoulKey faced with that, completely turns it on its head. Suddenly SnOw doesn't know if he's ahead or behind because of the drone blocking the ramp. He panicked, makes a cannon prematurely. We gotta see a healthier opening here for SnOw. I wonder if it's better for SnOw to not do anything too complex and just try to power through the basics, get to that Templar tech, and try to get into a game where he pushes. And just watch out for crazy Zerg cheese. What do you think, Artos?
Well, I think we're going to Monty Hall, and we can throw
Oh my
all
God,
that
we're
out
on
the
Monty
window.
Hall. I'm sorry, everybody. The island map, never mind. All right, well, let's see what happens on Monty Hall. Everything I said earlier, imagine I said that. It was match 3. Totally forgot Monty Hall is map number 2. All right, guys, game 2 is ready. Let's go.
All right, so we're going to have SnOw in the bottom right, and SoulKey, of course, there in the top left. Monty Hall, our crazy semi-island map. A ton of bases, 3 different lanes. And like I mentioned before, I've seen a lot of SoulKey's EVP here randomly. And, like, he's shown some things about it that are very, very tricky for Protoss, I think, to deal with, right? So, like, you have to choose a side to expand to. Right? There's not really good one-base play. So if you choose a side to expand to, the problem is you have to mine through one of the mineral patches to get your probes out there. And what I've seen from SoulKey is he'll make, if he's on the same side at all as you, like if he expands the same side, he'll make the speed upgrade. He'll run by that Nexus, go into your main, and you can't possibly have all your buildings protected by cannons, so he just starts killing your buildings. It's just, it's so fundamentally abuseful that it's like, okay, well, that part's rough. And if we get into a big game, it turns into generally Corsair Reaver against a ridiculous amount of Scourge Muta into mass Hydras. And then drops get researched. And that's most of the Zerg vs. Protoss games that I've seen here from SoulKey.
Makes sense. It does seem like it's a tough late game here. You know, in the original island maps like Dire Straits, which were, even as a concept of being, you know, not balanced, they were designed poorly because you could, like, hit some islands from the other island, like with a siege tank. It was actually crazy.
Yeah.
But, you know, the Corsair Reaver has always sort of been a thing. What they did to change, you know, even old island maps to ones like this one now is they basically separate everything by minerals. Or they'll make you start out on one island and your opponent on an island and everything else is connected by ground. Why are there 2 probes not mining?
Because he's microing heavily here. Yeah.
No, I get that, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that's really bad for
like,
an early
Tastosis,
game
this is
opener.
a hard game. How dare you?
It's not StarCraft 2. They don't auto-mine. No, but kind of crazy.
If I could mention...
to see that happen here.
If I could mention something here... notice that that SnOw is walling like a regular map.
Yeah.
That has to do with
it.
what I was talking about with what SoulKey's been doing. Like, if SoulKey had his hatchery in the center, his normal strategy on this map is to go speedlings and run by. So what SnOw is doing is he's saying, we're going to wall this like it's a regular base, and so you can't run by with speedlings. So he's shutting down that potential strategy. But, like, we don't know if SoulKey... Well, now that he sees the wall, obviously he's not going to go for that, right? But at least SnOw, you can see he's definitely done his homework against SoulKey for the map to try to figure out, like, okay, how do I block various things here? And I wonder...
I like this.
Yeah, since he's kind of blocking what I've seen SoulKey do a lot on the map... Oh, wow, that probe attack distance is so crazy, man. It's like... The probe attack range is like somewhere between the Guardian and the Reaver. It's insane. But yeah. So, anyways, the fact that SnOw has walled this, I think, is very, very smart. Oh, he's trying to pop his probe over for a scout. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that, especially with the Lings there. But I wonder, now that he's kind of blocked ground-based attacks, at least for now, if this could become SnOw favored, because most people play Corsair Reaver here, and he's the god of Reavers, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's one way to think of it. I mean, he's great with Reaver control. I feel like you can do more with Reavers versus Terran because of the way the units move and clump and how much damage a Scarab can do to one thing. But, you know, what Zerg can get to fight off the Reavers early on makes it almost more important that you have good Corsair control. If you can keep the Corsairs alive and protect the Reaver, then you're probably going to be fine. But there's a point where the Reavers have kind of a steep fall off when it comes to like harass and aggression.
Yeah.
I'm sure people that played way back in the old days, every once in a while would encounter that like Corsair and then like mass shuttle Reaver, and like sometimes you'd even get disruption web, and you'd wedge the Reavers in like a weird spot and put down like 5 disruption webs and hit everything. But I think on a map this open, if you just have enough Hydras and Mutas along with Scourge, it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard to make it work. Reavers are good together in small numbers, but when you start to get too many, it gets a little bit weird. Oh.
Ooh.
Wait, can you just run in here?
Dude, he actually had an opportunity because there was no Zealot there, and then he kind of waited.
Yeah.
I was like, is this still going to end exactly like this despite the wall? Because SnOw has pulled his 2 Zealots down and popped them over on the other side, so he's going to try to put some pressure on, which seems like a cool idea. SoulKey has mined out into the center, is expanding there as his third base, but SnOw is going double Stargate Corsair. So, I mean, he's trying to hard counter any like Mutalisk Scourge type of play.
Yeah. So he's going to hide those Zealots, like we pointed out. Well, hold on. I guess he's going to try to run up here, actually. I was wondering if maybe there'd be a better moment to have them come in a little bit later on. This is a cool idea. I think it's going to be handled pretty easily with the Zerglings that he's got. I do like the double Stargate. And, you know, I think he's now knows for sure, okay, this is going to be committed Mutalisk tech.
Wait,
you don't really
3
make
Stargate?
2 or 3 Mutas.
3 Stargate.
Oh,
he has to be going carrier
3
then.
Stargate.
This has to be a carrier build.
No. You don't really, well, look.
I've never seen 3 Stargate Corsair. I've never seen it.
Yeah, but it's kind of like the 3 starport thing, only you could support it, where like, you know, a lot of PvZ, you got to remember, it's sort of about, do I have enough Scourge to kill the Corsairs to then win the fight? And so if you have a 3rd Stargate, which, look, I don't think I can remember a game where I've ever seen this. He just lost one, unfortunately. So, but maybe the idea is you accumulate enough Corsairs and the Zerg maybe isn't ready for it, and everything just melts.
Okay.
Right?
Well, yeah, I guess. Like, I've never seen 3 Stargate Corsair. Like, 2 Stargate Corsair counters Mutas so hard anyways. And I believe he just should have seen the 3rd Stargate. I wonder if you see those 3 Stargates. Like, he's already starting Hydralisk production. So I don't know if this is a great idea from SnOw, man. Like, I liked my idea of the carrier build. There's already Hydras walking down.
I want to just make you make carriers versus Zerg just to see how bad it is.
Carriers are...
Even if you get the carriers out, like, you take so long to get the interceptors.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. We see people lose like this all the time, and this might be happening literally right now. Which is that you spent so much on the Corsairs, and the Zerg just backed out of making the Mutalisks, and now you don't have any defense on the ground. And this number of Hydras, it doesn't matter how many Corsairs you have, you can't do anything with it. Unless you had a DT that popped out, and I don't believe that tech has even been constructed yet, I think this game is just going to end.
It's over. It's over.
Right?
3 Stargate Corsair dies the Hydra. Who could have known?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of a sad thing we're seeing here. He has so many Corsairs, he can maybe infinitely supply block SoulKey at this point, but it doesn't really matter if the Hydras are just walking through your base, killing everything you have. He's desperately trying to hold on, but yeah, there's no real chance, and that's a very quick and fast, like, 2-0 for SoulKey here. He just... Man.
You know, I think just going back to kind of nitpick and dissect that game a little bit, I think he shouldn't have shown those 2 hidden Zealots until the Mutalisks were attacking him.
Okay.
That's really when you want to send the 2 hidden Zealots in there, because, you know, the Mutas aren't there to help defend, and a lot of times that's the moment they're not looking. They can get tunnel vision by microing the Mutalisks. You know, the 2 Stargates is a lot. I mean, the 3rd, yeah, that beats Mutas, but what if they just move out of it, right? I mean, that's all we saw there. There's a chance, even if Protoss didn't die in that moment, if the Zerg kept making Hydras, he would bust that down later on. So it kind of makes sense now, seeing why SoulKey picked that map. That situation can't be recreated on any of the other maps, because that map is uniquely structured with islands and creates certain dilemmas that players have to figure out and deal with. Regardless, SoulKey is halfway there. This best of 7 so far, he's won all the games. He's up 2-0. We're going to go to Pantheon now here for map 3.
Yeah, this should be a relatively easy expansion-heavy map for SnOw. It's probably the easiest to expand when you don't have map control out of every map that we've seen for the last many years. So I think it's good for Terran versus Protoss. I think it's good for Protoss versus Zerg. Let's see if SnOw can pick up a win here.
We are magic in the air. We are love, we are care. We are here for the ride. Join the fun side by side.
Okay, SoulKey in the top left, SnOw in the bottom left. And I do hope we get a game where the tech really develops. We're sort of watching games end with Hydralisks, which many PVZs will end like that, but the openings have been really the entire story here. I mean, game 1, probably the most impressive early game from SoulKey, just able to kind of take a unique situation and turn it on its head. I think game 2, some of that was maybe not a great build planned from SnOw. It seemed to have a very obvious answer. It can sound exciting because, I mean, that's a lot of Corsairs, and we all know if you can wipe their Mutalisk force out, you can start to lock them out of supply by killing off Overlord after Overlord after Overlord. But, you know, kind of a basic loss again, not able to be set up to survive through to where Templar tech is. SnOw loses 2 games in a row. We've got to have a better performance. Otherwise, I think SoulKey's just going to move on.
Well, we don't want to see SoulKey just run away with this series, you know? If this turns into just something completely one-sided, every game just a bashing before SnOw can get up to any real tech, that's the absolute worst-case scenario for it, right? Like, this is a match that can still be close, I think. Obviously, the mind games from SnOw, oh my god, I keep doing it, from SoulKey are outdoing SnOw here. That's their Archon name, Tastosis. This is SnOw.
SnOw, man. Well,
like,
so far, SnOw
doesn't
make for the greatest games yet.
No,
man. We don't have
no.
Templars yet.
We thought they'd be
No
a power
high-tech
couple,
yet.
but SnOw is really a failure here, unfortunately.
We had Overpool to start things off. This is a gateway expand here from SnOw with the second hatchery just right at 12 o'clock. And we'll see if it's going to be just 4 Zerglings or possibly 6 and more. There are games where you can just kind of do a pressure build onto the gateway expanding player, try to keep them playing very defensively.
SnOw right now continuing to scout here with the probe, seeing exactly how many Lings are going to pop. He does have 1 Zealot out on the map. Of course, the Overlord saw that, so whether he attacks or just kind of sits it there, we'll see. Yeah, it turns around. So I would imagine that this is going to just kind of stabilize pretty quickly into a Nexus, and yeah, of course, this 3rd hatchery from SoulKey.
So just 4 Lings, you know, you have to respect it, but you don't have to really over-defend here. The formation is always a probe at the ramp with the Zealot to block it, and then you just have to micro the 1 Zealot until the 3rd Zealot can come out. And that should basically drive everything away. And so losing shields is fine. SnOw's looking very good here. In fact, he even swaps out the Zealot at the ramp here. Now, there's been 4 more Zerglings made. So in a situation that would have initially looked like you're almost done with some of this aggression, actually, maybe he makes the 4 Lings just to block. Okay.
Might be.
I'm trying to watch, like, so carefully all the little things that are happening with SoulKey early on. Things that I think are normally mundane and I wouldn't really focus on as a commentator, but I'm looking at it and being like, okay, what is the idea behind this? Because he's got a couple more Lings coming down. You're not really out of the woods as Protoss until the cannon finishes, because the Lings can always attack you from the outside. Now, this wall-in probably is safer than most other wall-ins, just because there's not a whole lot of room around the forge or the gateway, and it's kind of a narrow path. They have these little tubes sticking out of the ground on the left, and even on the right side it's kind of tight. But the bigger idea that's happening is that SoulKey's going for 3-hatch Hydra.
So, is 3-hatch Hydra actually just not going to be as effective because that is such a thin area?
No, I think it will be fine.
Okay.
It's not so much you need to have a big arc. You just have to kind of catch them off guard. I guess he caught the scouting probe with the second wave of Lings and had the first wave of Lings out here. And maybe once he killed that second probe that was out, he knows, you can't scout me now. So this is going to prompt me to make the Hydraless Den and try to do this rush.
Well, he is still droning right now. He will get into those Hydras relatively soon, though. Generally, you go up to about 22 drones and then start the pump. Is SnOw going to be able to scout this in time? Normally, like, if everything goes kind of normal, a lot of times what happens is the Corsair sees the Hydras when they're about halfway to the base. And it's like, okay,
right.
Can we stall this out? Can we get the cannons up in time?
So he did fraction off one Zealot, and that's really important because the one Zealot could be able to get in there and scout this. This is something we see Bisu do quite a bit. He's going to see the Hydras. He's going to know what's coming, and this is big. These are Hydras with speed. They're going to be darting across the map. You were talking about the shape of the entrance earlier, Artosis, with the wall in. I do want to point out, let's say that this is an all-in, like from the Zerg. There's way more room to make cannons to where I don't think the Zerg could actually just go all in and bust no matter what. Because it is narrow enough, the Hydras can't get in there. But, you know, with Hydra rushes, you can always just pull out immediately and tack into something else.
It's a very common move, right? Is to, like, start the Hydraless bust and then just switch into drones, add those extra hatcheries, and sometimes you've slowed Protoss down if they don't read it correctly and cancel some cannons. But, of course, if they cancel cannons and you keep making Hydras, you're just going to kill them. So, a very tough situation here for SnOw. We'll see how he reads it. Like, SoulKey right now working on that gateway. And I think he's switching back to drones, if I'm not mistaken.
It looks like it. We don't have more Hydras trickling across the map. He will try to take out the gateway. I'm not clear if he can actually get the Forge from there. This is pretty par for the course, PVZ. If he could get that Forge somehow and deny the weapons upgrade, it's pretty damaging to the Protoss. Like, it really does change the whole course of the game. A lot of times you have to get 2 Forges and you got to try to go for a timing push or something like that. So we're going to see if this actually finishes or not. You can see that the Observer is continuing to click on the Forge, then click on the Zealot. And he's going to come in here and dive. Oh, well, wait a minute.
The Zealots are fighting pretty well here, and they're going to keep these Hydras off of those back 3 cannons. It looks like, oh man, that's painful.
It was just for the Forge. That was all just to get the Forge. It's hard to get the it's hard to get enough Hydras near the Forge without the Zealots running up and pushing you back. It's actually kind of tricky to reposition the Hydras so that they're in range of the Forge and not in range of the enemy's cannon. But he came up there, he popped the Forge, no +1 attack upgrade, and he's got more Hydras coming down here.
Well, he's delayed a little bit, and he's trying for that secondary bust. He has opened everything up, but SnOw adds a ton of photon cannons in here. So I feel like he's actually got a really good defensive position, right? Like, he's back further where it's wider. So as the Hydras come through that smaller choked area, like, this is a lot of Zealots and cannons for them to try to shoot through. I don't think SoulKey's going to break this. I think SnOw has just enough right now to hold on.
Yeah, I think SnOw's going to be okay. But what I'm seeing SoulKey set up on the map is super scary. He has made some drones. It's not like he's, you know, gone all in, that he has to end this right now. It seems like what SoulKey's doing really neatly is making just enough Hydras that the Protoss can't really move out, and at the same time squeezing drones, and like we're seeing Hatch here on screen, just enough so that he's got a healthy economy.
His supply is pretty darn high. As long as he doesn't sacrifice all the Hydras, I feel like SoulKey's still in a pretty good position. Obviously, SnOw's upgrades are going to be a little bit slow here. I only saw 1 Forge in the main. Sometimes Protoss like to go 2 Forge to try to catch up after losing that initial one. But looks like he'll go into 1. He's definitely getting into some High Templars now, adding that gateway count up. And here we go. He does do a little bit of a move out here, but SoulKey has a lot of Hydras.
Yeah, pretty good control here from SoulKey, just kind of spacing this out to the point where I think these Hydras are not going to quite win this fight. Remember, they don't have that +1 attack upgrade. So he actually wins the fight, and the Zealots just try to plow through and head north. God, SoulKey is just so on top of this. Just one Zealot coming across the map right now.
Oh, that's kind of sad, and it gets killed off as well. SnOw has not a ton of vision since his Corsairs did come home. Seems like he's trying to wiggle a DT out, but there's 2 Overlords there, and you can't even get the first one.
Yeah. Second Evo Chamber has kind of come down now. Mass gateways. I think it was only one forge that was remade here.
Yeah.
The Corsairs have done a good enough job that it's going to let these Zealots get out. He's kind of driven back these Overlords far away enough. The thing is, I don't think the Zealots can actually do that much.
I don't either. I think that SoulKey just has big production right now. I believe, by the way, that SnOw went to about 9 gates, which isn't that common. 8 gate is like really normal right now for Protoss for Zerg, where you kind of go into 8 gates. That kind of spends all your money, and you can decide if you're going to take a third or just attack. But making these additional gateways, it makes me feel like SnOw is deciding that he needs to get out there and really contest.
Well, he can't get a Nexus, so he's going to have to commit to a push. You can get 8 gates and produce off of it and eventually have enough over time. Dude, SoulKey's so crazy watching these eggs morph, and he just runs away. Just seeing him play like this, it looks like SnOw is just going to commit with a 9-gate push. So what I was saying earlier is that you can get 8 gateways and kind of keep up with everything, and also start to get a Nexus over time. With 9 gates, it's like you're just not going to stop pushing. Now, let's watch these 2 DTs.
Oh, he lost both of his Corsairs there, by the way, as well, so some of the scouting is going to go away. Unfortunately, there are some Scourge coming out as well. Trying to block this DT. The DT, oh, he does get the snipe there and kills the one that goes to his 4th base. SoulKey just so on top of everything. And now his 9-gate production is kicking in. There is a robo at the natural, so he should be able to get some observers out to help, you know, fight against these burrowed lurkers. I don't know. I feel like there's still, like, potential here for SnOw, but if he doesn't get something big done really soon, SoulKey's just going to run away with this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm already kind of feeling like SoulKey's got this in the bag. He's on 4 bases, soon to be on 5. You know, the question is going to be, has Protoss been able to muster enough of an army to do any kind of push? And remember that this area that we saw earlier where the Lurker was on that ramp, it's hard to get out. It's hard to break into these areas. Like, Zerg can really just kind of stay back and defend. I think maybe if Protoss is going to push, you would want to push into the natural and then go to the main.
I think you're probably right. Yeah, even if you go after like 1 base here, I feel like you're giving too many options to Zerg where they can kind of maybe either survive or slow you down a little bit. He needs to go for like a killing blow, I think. This is not going to get better for him. SoulKey's already taken a 5th base right now.
Yeah, he's going to move up into this area and start to push over here. The Lurkers are not quite covering this correctly. The Scourge are going to look for the Observer. Is there no Observer with this right now? I think there's not.
He killed the only Observer that was in this army. Hopefully there's another one coming up on the way. Now even Mutalisk's joining in. My God, man. How does anyone ever beat SoulKey? This is... Well, I guess no one does since he's won the last 2 seasons. But this, it looks absurd watching this. It felt like SnOw parried everything really well. And then SoulKey's like, yeah, I don't know. I have like so many bases and all the tech. And all right, here we go.
You know, because he Hydra rushed, you don't have a whole lot of Corsairs later on, and we do know that you want to make a Dark Archon if you're afraid of mutas, because that way you can use that, you know, Maelstrom and just catch everything, but he doesn't have that. So now we're just seeing Storms just get chucked out onto these mutas. The Storms are really supposed to be for the Hydralists, guys. Now the mutas are going to hit this base. Oh my God, it's painful for me to see SnOw in a game like this.
SoulKey is taking the top right. SnOw is just getting his 3rd started, and SoulKey is going for his 6th base. Like, this doesn't even make sense how far ahead SoulKey is propelling himself right now. Now, we get some very good storms there, but does it matter against the massive Hydras that are coming down? Pure Dragoon can't even come close to fighting against this.
Yeah, you know it's bad when you chuck out all your storms, and then there's still enough Zerg stuff, and you watch all the Zealots and Dragoons just kind of die as the push just keeps coming forward here. Again, another crazy strong opening here from SoulKey that creates what looks like such an easy mid-game going into late game now. Like, there's a very high likelihood that the third base for Protoss never really gets to function. We're seeing, you know, a decent fight put up here by SnOw, but then more Hydras are going to come down. They sidestep that right down there to where that Nexus is. Probes are going to be transferred. If this game's going to go on, it will have to be one where the Protoss can save this base. I just don't think that's going to happen. SoulKey's control is just too good.
SoulKey's macro is too good. SoulKey's mind games are too good. Everything that SoulKey does is too strong. Like, this game makes me sad. Like, to be perfectly honest, watching SoulKey's domination, GG. Like,
oh my god.
Just everything about it, he was always in control. Remember when SnOw tried to move out with the speed Zealots and, like, he kind of took an engage and he tried to run past and not even one Zealot could make it to SoulKey's side of the map? It's just like pure domination from our defending champion.
I mean, it's almost depressing.
Yeah.
These beatdowns are so brutal. And I feel like every game SoulKey is denying SnOw from getting him to even close to where he wants to be. I think the most important moment was the dive on the two cannons into a dive onto the Forge. It wasn't a moment where he's trying to end the game. He's saying, I need to make sure I get that +1 attack, because there's a moment where you look at it and see, like, I don't know if you need to watch this part as much, but there's a part when you have the +1 attack upgrade going where you have to be like, okay, do I have this or not? And it really looked like he was going to get it.
Yeah.
It looked like when the gateway fell, there's probably going to be, maybe you finish it and they kill the Forge like 5-10 seconds later. But the fact that he made a couple more lings, dove in, killed the cannons, and then focused fired the Forge down, I think totally screwed up SnOw's build.
Yeah, that man, that was a rough game for SnOw. Like, I even like the idea, like, look at this, he stopped at 44 probes, went to 9 gates. He really did his best to try to, like, triage the situation, and nothing worked out. The fact that SoulKey even had mutas here to pick off the High Templars, which were so crucial for SnOw's giant gateway push, just SoulKey has thought of everything.
He's playing better than anybody we've seen.
It's ridiculous.
In a long time.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, I just got to tell you, you know, when we would watch Flash play, sometimes you look at it and you almost have to come to the conclusion that there's no way to stop that.
Yeah.
Even though that's not a good way to think about the game. And it's not even necessarily a correct way to think. I'm like, looking at what SoulKey's doing, and I'm trying to figure out where SnOw can fix what can fix what he needs to fix, and I just don't see it.
I don't either.
Even the setup to the 3-hatch Hydra, having the first wave of lings, and then a second small wave of lings just to catch the probe, so that he knows he can get away with the 3-hatch Hydra, because the more of a surprise that is, the better. SnOw still played a good early game, scouted with 1 Zealot, got the intel. Man, I mean, this was what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This ended on 6 bases. Protoss had just finished the 3rd and never sent workers there. Never got a probe to mine a resource from that 3rd base.
That's true.
That's how that game ended. I mean, that's
don't
just
know.
wild.
I don't know what he's going to do, but we're on match point now for 4 games for SoulKey. SnOw has to go 4-0 if he wants to go to the finals. Not looking very promising here for our Protoss player.
I'm depressed.
Me too.
I have clinical depression right now. I'm sad. Guys, fingers crossed. We're going to go to kickback here for map 4 and hope that SnOw can turn it around, guys. We'll be right back.
이번에 또 4강 시드를 받게 된 프로토스 장윤철입니다. 시즌 5 때 8강에서 캐리어로 가면서 아비터를 리콜하는 게 있어요. 마지막 경기인데.
골이 된다고 한번 생각을 해보세요. 자, 리콜까지. 추가자체가 거의 안 되는 테란이라서. 이제 11년간의 그 기록을 장윤철 선수가 깨고.
그게 좀 기억 남는 것 같아요. 그게 딱 마지막 장면이거든요. 이거 생각나요.
추가이도 지금 많이 나고요. 네, 셔틀이 딱 도원이 되기는 했습니다만은. 자, 이게 리버로 해결을 해야 됩니다. 네. 그런데 먼저 맞았었던 이 드라군들이 있었기 때문에 드라군이 좀 아래.
이거는 제가 처음 결승 갔던 세트라서 너무 기억이 남는데 게임도 또 잘 됐거든요. 그래서 어떻게 기억 남는 것 같고. 이게 이제 제 인생 게임인데 이때 제가 이름을 좀 많이 알렸거든요. 개인 방송하면서도 막 10명 보고 20명 보고 그랬었는데 이 게임 하고 나서 제가 진짜 4,000명, 5,000명을 처음으로 찍어본 것 같아요. 그리고 이 게임이 끝날 때 함성 소리가 너무 커가지고 진동이 울리더라고요, 세트에. 그때 전율이 좀 느껴져서 저는 이게 나을 것 같아요.
등잔 및 로보틱스 아크를 막을 수 있는
이 빌드가 요즘에 엄청 많이 사용되고 있는데 제가 처음으로 쓴 게 이때거든요. 제가 만든 빌드인데 좀 뜻깊은 빌드인 것 같아요. 그리고 이때 김서현 선수가 진짜 잘했거든요. 다들 제가 질 거라고 생각했는데 이겨가지고 좀 생각나네요. 이거는 이제 제가 정말 어렵게 올라간 16강인데 9대1로 불리한 게임이었는데 한 번 맞고 두 번 맞고 세 번 맞고 네 번 맞고 그 다음에 이제 꾹꾹 모아서 한 방으로 역전한 것 같은데 좀 기억에 남는 것 같아요. 저는 그래도 새로운 걸 좀 개발하고 제 빌드를 만들었다는 것 때문에 김선우 선수 망했던 거. 이거는 사실 잘 모르겠어요. 정말 준비할 때 열심히 하고 그랬지만 저한테 그렇게 감명 깊은 게임은 아니었던 것 같아요. 이거는 또 제가 컨트롤이 되게 잘 돼가지고 이렇게 집이 아닌 데서 컨트롤 잘 되는 게 오랜만이다 느꼈던 게임이거든요. 저는 이게 더 나은 것 같아요. 김태경 선수가 했던 거. 이게 가장 최근이기도 하고 잘 됐던 게임인 것 같아요.
진짜 기가 막힌데요.
이때는 이제 제가 박상현 선수한테 지목당하고 너무나도 짜증난 나머지 그냥 너도 같이 죽자 하고 3저그저를 만들었을 때 제 저그전이 약점인데도 불구하고 만들었는데 제가 극복했던 게임이라서 좋은 것 같아요. 그 반대편 거는 이제 본진 드라군 리버라고 이것도 제가 리버를 좀 자신 있어서 했던 건데 그때 김민철 선수가 진짜 잘하는데도 불구하고 본진 플레이로 이겼던 것 같은데 이거는 정말 잘했는데 결국에 16강에 떨어졌거든요. 저 김명훈 선수랑 했던 게 더 나은 것 같아요. 이거는 김태현 선수 대 김명훈. 이거는 김명훈 선수가 했던 거. 저를 살려준 게임이기 때문에 시즌5 8강으로 할게요. 또 이렇게. 게이머들도 그때 승부 예측을 봤는데 그 사람 다 이영호 선수를 찍었을 정도로 이제 불리한 게임이었거든요. 제 나름대로 극복도 잘 하고 그리고 게임 내용도 워낙 좋았어가지고 이게 한 4, 5년이 지난 것 같은데도 저는 생생하게 기억하는 것 같아요. 굉장히 잘하는 선수이기 때문에 도전하는 입장으로 저번에 제가 많이 맞고 혼났는데 이번에는 제가 안경 부셔버릴게요.
Welcome back, everybody.
통신을
Tastosis.
KBDV 모바일과 함께하는
This is a
2024
dark time for
숲스타리가
Protoss. I know that you're
선수와
racist against Protoss Tastosis,
앞선
but I
3개의
think
세트
even you must
만나보셨는데요.
agree
현재 양
between
선수의
right
세트
now with
스코어
the
확인해
StarCraft
보겠습니다.
2 patch coming out and
자,
Protoss
이
is losing their
세트에서는
mind.
김민철
They're
선수가
changed the race. And now SnOw,
막아내고 역습으로
the
경기를
Protoss
승리를
player for
가져갔고요.
StarCraft 1
이어진
can't
두
even
번째
develop
세트
normally
김민철
in a
선수가
PvZ
역시
versus
서로를
SoulKey.
찌르는 히드라
These are rough times.
승리를
Well,
가져갔습니다.
you know, we can actually bring it further than that, Tastosis, because we saw SoulKey play against Light, right? The macro god of Terran. And we watched how Light could macro perfectly and have great upgrades, and SoulKey would literally just attack move after doing nothing and win the game. So SoulKey looks completely unbeatable. I think when Sharp killed Hero in the round of 8, I think SoulKey probably bought a new car, is my best guess. prize, right? He was like, all right, this prize, how much is the prize money? Because like I think Hero was the last guy that had that SoulKey was probably scared of. Because we talked about this since like season 3 or something, where like SoulKey, if it weren't for ZVZ, he would probably have a lot more championships. Like a lot of his losses, deep in tournaments when he was looking good, were to Zergs. And now we're watching him against SnOw, who is a top 4 Protoss PvZ for sure, and some could even argue a top 1 or 2. And SoulKey literally looks unbeatable. It looks like a ladder game where SoulKey's playing against someone he shouldn't be playing against.
It's crazy. We have gotten through 3 games, and none of them, you know, SnOw even got to basically get to where he's trying to be to activate his strategy, his build order. I think Game 3 in some ways is maybe the most impressive in that it resembles a game we've all seen before. The Hydra bust where he pulls out of all-in, drones up, and then dives in kind of a very unique timing attack. It's something we don't talk about that much. I think we all kind of know that the Forge sticking out there, getting the +1 attack upgrade, you know, that's kind of this weird Achilles heel Protoss has. But the way that he timed it out, he must have killed that moments before that attack upgrade finished. And suddenly the whole trajectory is off. Keep in mind, if you go for 1 Forge in a PvZ, the build order upgrades go +1 attack, +1 armor, and then +1 armor again.
We call that +2 armor.
Pretty decent mid-game timing attack. +2 armor. Yeah. But the fact that he messed, that was denied, meant suddenly the whole game was in a weird spot. Guys, we're going to go now into game number 4 here. Fingers crossed for SnOw, because if he doesn't start winning and keep winning, SoulKey is going to move on to the finals.
All right, so we're in kickback. The bottom right is SnOw. Bottom left is SoulKey. You know, this is the easiest 3-gas map, but I don't know. I can say factually that, like, for instance, in Terran versus Protoss, incredibly difficult to win here against map control because you run out of those bases so quickly. Even though you can get 3 bases quicker than any other map, like, at least in the Terran matchup against Protoss, because, you know, Terran versus Protoss and Protoss versus Zerg are very similar matchups in how they play out, where you just have to kind of be more cost efficient. Your opponent has map control, getting additional bases can be difficult, but, like, you literally run out before you can kill your opponent.
Storm my probes in 2 pieces. Oh, these signs are all so good.
I love it. I love it.
Didn't even have time to read them all. Appreciate the signs, guys. You know, this map, I don't feel like I have a great handle on how Protoss are supposed to approach it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, the defining feature of the map is the 3 free bases, but they mine out quicker. I feel like it might be a little bit better for Zerg. You know, Zerg are okay with those bases mining out. First of all, you don't mine out as quickly with Zerg because you have less workers. So that whole dilemma kicks in later, where Protoss and Terran, you know, they're roughly getting around the same workers. So he who has more bases spreads the workers more as well. But you're definitely right. Zerg just has lower saturation naturally. But that's a big part of the problem, because in Protoss versus Zerg, as well as Terran versus Protoss, you heavily saturate your early bases to have good income. You do that here, you mine out. Whereas your opponent, not only, like here especially, right, because Zerg does just mine out slower because they have lower saturation upon their patches, right? It might be 1 per patch instead of 2.5 per patch. You know, when they're expanding more and then spreading those drones thin, it's like their bases are going to last a really long time. By the way, offshoot weird builds on this map, probably not going to be that good either. Like, let's say it's a 2-gate or a 1-gate into gas into some kind of tricky tech, just because there's 1 point of entry, and again, the Zerg gets those double bases. You know, a lot of the weird pressure builds Protoss can try to throw at you are sort of hinged on hitting a weak point, which the Zerg doesn't really have right away. So You know, I always try to ladder a little bit to get an idea of how each of the, you know, the maps work, at least from a Protoss matchup. But this has been a tough one as a Protoss player. So he's got the one Zealot coming in here. If he gets 2 probe shots and 2 Zealot shots off, he can kill a drone. But so far, nothing's been killed just yet. The Lings are going to catch.
Oh, okay, he gets one
God.
there. He had 2 that were really close to death. In fact, we see there 4 additional drones had some heavy damage, and one was 1 hit from death. So almost amazing. Instead, not all that great.
No, not all that great. The Lings are going to come across the map for a counterattack. We've got the Nexus coming up over here just north of the starting position. What was that we just saw there?
So he mined the minerals there, and then he went and made a geyser and canceled because it gets the minerals out of the drone's hands.
My God.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's going to try to open this up. Now, I don't even know if SnOw noticed that.
I don't know either. But he needs to target that, and you can see he's going up and trying to, and it actually opened it up. So now there's another hole in this wall.
Dude, you know, it's funny. I am always sort of aware of the minerals that are here on this map. I don't think about them that much. But you can see that SoulKey clearly sees yet another exploit on the map. And if Protoss holds this, they're going to be ahead. If they don't and the Lings get in, it's going to be a big problem. Because there's a lot more Lings being produced right now.
That is a
oh
lot
my
of
God, he slipped through.
Gosh. Okay, well, there is a shield battery, and he's going to keep that Zealot alive for a really, really long time. He needs the cannon to finish, and, well, he needs to not lose all of his probes to these Zerglings.
These are not Speedlings, at least not yet, but it looks like that upgrade is coming. I think we missed a little bit of that. Oh my God. Oh no. If he gets the cannon, the game is very likely to just fall apart, and he gets it.
Oh boy. That is no good. You can see SnOw is flustered. He's got all sorts of probes not mining. He's trying to warp in another cannon. You know, oh God, he's losing so much here, Tastosis. I think this is over in one of the most one-sided victories that we may have ever seen.
I can't believe the game came out this way. I think there's something like 4 probes left in this game, maybe 5 now.
Well, at the main, yeah.
Yeah, oh wow, I'm sorry guys, there's a little bit more up there. Felt like it was less. Wow. Okay, so he finishes a cannon. We have a couple Lings, but it seems like instead Zerg's back to making drones. And I gotta say, man, this is rough. The counterattack, I kind of get it from SnOw, but I feel like it's probably just not going to work. Once you have Speedlings out, it's not that tough to just make a few more Zerglings and hold this off. And remember, the Zealots are very slow, so they can get surrounded very easily.
Well, he's trying to micro
I guess
really
he still
fancily.
doesn't have speed yet.
No.
Yeah.
Well, there are a lot of Zealots, but he has enough Lings already to deal with this, unfortunately, with 2 of those already having really big damage. So, yeah, he's going to be able to kill all these Zealots off. Looking worse and worse for SnOw. He's going to try to split off a couple of these, but SoulKey's not going to have any of it. He's just going to block this really quickly, really efficiently. Look at this. Puts just enough Zerglings on to make sure that this Zealot can't do anything. Going to chase these back home. And, I mean, you know, right now, SnOw is just making probes as hard as he can, trying to catch back up in his economy. But, of course, SoulKey going to punish with a 3-hatch Hydra follow-up.
Makes sense. You know, the Zealots have all been bled off at this point in time. Looks like we have 2 more just up there. But this is enough Lings to basically catch this counterattack here. The attack back home, I mean, look, he could run through with these Lings and just surround the cannon again.
Uh-oh. Oh, that's actually a pretty decent block there with the probes and Zealots. So he does kind of slow that down. A lot of damage on those Lings. SnOw doing a little bit of counter harassment here. But Hydra Ling coming out, like, at least he sees what's coming for him.
Yeah, I mean, knowing that those Hydras are on the way is going to be pretty helpful. The cannons are actually very, very tucked back, which means there's an opportunity for SoulKey to basically destroy the pylon, the gateway, and the battery, and you can then bust in that way too. You really need a lot of obstructions to have this area covered. Otherwise, the Hydras can just dive on top. And as good as cannons feel and look in a lot of these matches, a lot of times it's based off the placement and the fact that most Hydras can't come in there for a proper surround. So he's going to kill that battery. Am I missing something? I think there is no other pylon here. He started one, but, you know, he kills that one pylon. You know,
a snow pylon.
Pylons are not targeted as often in StarCraft 1 as they are in StarCraft 2 because they take a little bit longer to kill. But it looks like that their pylon's going to finish just in time, so that won't be a factor anyways. He's going to dive in again.
Oh, man.
Big run-in with the Lings. Dude, it's going to be... That's it again. This game's over.
It's over.
4-0.
Wow. This is really not
like
what I expected.
Yeah, coming into this, GG, coming into this, I thought this was going to be one of the best of sevens of the whole year.
Well, you couldn't have been more wrong,
More one-sided. We didn't even get to a real long game. I mean, Protoss never got a functional third base. A lot of the games are just one with Hydras kind of diving in, backing up, creating more opportunities, and then going in for the kill. SoulKey is looking unstoppable.
That was stupid.
Kind of
how,
vibes.
Yeah, it's like a flash of Zerg.
Yeah, I'm getting flash vibes here, where it's like, I know that I see Protoss beat Zerg all the time, but when I watch SnOw versus SoulKey, I'm pretty sure there's no way for Protoss to beat Zerg. That's what it feels like when I walk away.
Yeah.
And that's really a testament to how good he is. And, you know, when we cast this, we're only able to pick up on so much of what's happening. There's clearly other subtle cues that he is picking up on or reads, or when he's labbing this out or researching his opponents. He's got such a deep read on what his opponent wants to do, how to stop it, how to get in there and trip them up. I mean, it's really something to marvel at. This moment, too, here, like, this was a moment where most players would have gotten at least 2 drone kills or more. And the fact that he controlled it that well while quietly mining out the mineral, like, if Tastosis hadn't pointed out what was happening back there for a second, I might have just missed this entirely until I saw it mine again. He sends it over there, cancels it, that destroys the mineral, as the drone basically gets a new... It's like a new drone. Once you cancel that extractor, it's like a new drone comes out, basically, as far as the game is concerned. And normally the battery here is the correct play, because you could plug this up and heal. And instead, at the last second, he mines out that resource, and now this is a much bigger entrance.
It has 3 holes at this point, and it's like 4 Zealots worth of width. So, yeah, it's really, really difficult to block everything. You can see SnOw's control there is a little bit off. Okay, that's a pretty good setup, but yeah, look at him just wiggle in there. Oh my god.
So the battery doesn't block at the top like the Forge does.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he just spilled through. He did actually have the formation of a Forge block. But yeah, you can see the Ling slide right up through the top. You know, in other games, if players are being more aggressive, this would have ended because Ling's speed would be done. But he was actually droning up a little bit behind this. He wasn't quite that all in here.
He might not have expected it to really work. You know, when your opponent has been making Zealots nonstop and they have a shield battery, that's hard to break with Lings. But well done by SoulKey. Let's go to an interview with him and see how he's feeling about another finals.
SoulKey, congratulations on making the finals. Thank you. You are standing in front of an opportunity to make 3 championship runs in a row for the very first time in all of StarCraft's history. Let's hear how you feel about today's victory. It was an easier win than I expected. I came here thinking it wouldn't be easy, but taking this straightforward win makes me happy. And winning today also inspires more confidence. Right, and taking down SnOw today, this #1 player worldwide, SoulKey the wall, the iron wall that seemingly no player is able to climb over. You showed perfect form. What is left now is to add another page to the history books as a Zerg going into that grand final. What is left is to claim that record, but the opponents are not to be taken lightly, not to be underestimated. SoulKey, do you feel confident? Confidence, yes, I do have it. And I feel very hungry, very greedy. With the tournament rebranding to SSL and this being the first season, I want to claim this first championship title. I've been hungry for that, so I've been preparing very thoroughly. I'm happy that it's showing results. I'll be frank and say something felt off during practice. I couldn't get the builds to work. Right until the end yesterday, I got help from Carl. He helped me a lot with the first 4 games. We prepared good builds, and I had the inkling that it might be possible for me to win 4-0 today. I was able to win thanks to Calm helping me. I got some build recommendations from Best as well. I practiced with Mini and Bisu. It was very helpful. Also YSC and Free. Thank you guys. We will have to watch tomorrow's match closely to see who advances to the finals. From your perspective, is Terran more comfortable or is Protoss more comfortable? I'm fine with either, but I think I might feel more confident going up against Sharp, perhaps. And while many will be hoping for me to play a great match against Rain, I'm fine against either, really. Whoever advances, I don't mind, says SoulKey. Droves of fans are paying close attention, cheering you on to set this new record. Any words of thanks to your fans? Once again, I've made the finals and I'll try to claim 3 in a row. I'll prepare thoroughly and I'll be thankful if you watch the games and support me. Also, thanks to Terra for his constant support. It was his birthday not long ago. Terra, my friend, happy birthday to you again. And thanks to our Shinai members for coming down here to show their support. I'll prepare well for the finals and claim the trophy once more. Congratulations again, can't wait to see you on the grand final stage. Congratulations. Thank you. And that does it for our winners interview.
All right.
Wow.
So SoulKey on to that finals, 3rd in a row. Can Rain or Sharp stop him? Well, that's something that we're going to find out eventually here. But our next matchup is going to be Rain versus Sharp, which, spoiler alert, is going to be better than this match was. Even if it were a 4-0, I think it would be better than this one was.
No, I mean, this is not only is this a 4-0, it's like the worst 4-0 ever.
You're right. No mining third base for Protoss at all in 4 games.
Yeah. Yeah. We probably had total in 4 PVZs. We probably had like 5 or 6 Psystorms casted. Just for some perspective.
Yes.
I mean, it's wild. And look, this game, these games did have their moments. They were interesting, but fundamentally, SoulKey just seems to know how to maneuver build order-wise and behavior-wise in a way that, you know, we don't get to talk about this that much. A lot of these games, you kind of see, it's like 2 players in chess that just sort of know their openings very well, and we can kind of talk about, oh, he's doing this, and the other guy is going to try to, you know, play into the position with this, but not a lot happens. Instead, it was like SoulKey is running circles around SnOw in so many ways that SnOw, in basically not a single game, was SnOw able to develop within minutes, or even like a minute or 2. You know, SoulKey had thrown him off, and the way that he can navigate a game is truly beautiful. It's really impressive. It's fascinating that 25 years into the existence of StarCraft 1, this is how the best players playing. It's not god tier perfect control. It's not the greatest macro. It's not changing the meta entirely. All these games, they look familiar, but it's the way that he gets there that makes it so scary.
Yeah, his mind games really are on another level, and we've seen hints of this throughout his career. I'll never forget the 7 pool against Light, where it failed utterly. They asked him in the interview about it. He's like, no, that was a good choice by me. And it just like shows that he thinks about the game completely differently than everyone else. And you can see it over time. Like, again, if you just take out, like, Zerg vs. Zerg, he'd probably have 6 or 7 championships by now. It's not even a joke. Even in Flash's prime, like, if you watch Flash's stream, it's one of the only guys that could beat him. Like, SoulKey is just unbelievable, and he's peaking right now.
Coming up next, guys, PVT. This should be so much fun. I think we're going to have a lot more games. I think it's going to be a lot more interesting. The truth is, these two are not exactly players we expected to get into the round of 4.
Yeah.
And we have them duking it out against each other. So it's going to be SoulKey, the undisputed best right now in StarCraft 1, versus either Rain as a Protoss or Sharp as a Terran.
I'm really excited about whatever ends up happening there. As far as this matchup, I don't know who to expect to win this, because Rain, you know, the further he gets, the more he's going to practice. He's just kind of like a genius of StarCraft, if you ask me. But Sharp is playing his best StarCraft that he's ever played. And his Terran versus Protoss looks monstrous, and it has for at least a year now. He has looked like one of the best TVP players ever. So I think that this is, like, people were impressed with his Terran vs. Zerg. Dude, his Terran vs. Protoss is 3 times better than his Terran vs. Zerg, and Sharp is my favorite player. I don't say this lightly.
Yeah, look, Sharp's been a real inspiration for me, watching him and seeing how much he's improved. And you can see how much he wants it, how hungry he is, how passionate he is when he wins. And then you've got Rain, and look, when Rain is on, again, he's the guy that makes it look easy. I think that lately we can always think back to his kind of bungled finals against Light, but the truth is almost always Rain is looking really strong, and I think he has a very healthy approach when it comes to build orders. Okay, let me just check here. So this is Sangam Coliseum. Guys, this is not in Jamshil. I'm sorry. This is going to be at Digital Media City.
Yep.
So this is on the other side of town. Do not go to Jamshil. We'll be sure to put a PSA there as well in the next episode. This is going to be on the west side of Seoul. Definitely make sure you know where you're going. The studio you've been watching this broadcast in is not the studio that the finals is going to be at, but that venue is very cool. That's one of the cooler ones that SOOP has, so definitely go and check that out.
Yeah, it's huge. It's awesome. It's going to be a great show, no doubt about that. A big thanks to you guys who have supported us on the Patreon. That's patreon.com/ASL English. Just as a little reminder, Patreon is switching over to a yearly thing as opposed to a monthly thing. So we do hope that you'll still consider that. That's going to start November 1st, I believe it is. So just giving you guys a little heads up about that.
We love you guys. Sign up for that Patreon, and we will see you for the other half of the round of 4. Bye-bye.